Welcome to the channel, everyone. This is the Town Nerd here, and we're starting our series on the Java programming language. This is going to be a tutorial series for beginners, or even if you've used Java a little bit and you need a refresher, but definitely geared towards newcomers to programming in general, and anyone who wants to learn Java. That's the language we'll be using. So, to get started, we're going to download an IDE, and an IDE is an integrated development environment, meaning that this will have the libraries that you need to run the code. It's where you can edit your code, and it's also where you can run and test your code all in one application. So for any programming language, this is recommended to have some sort of IDE that can help you do all these things very easily and to where you can just focus on writing the code. So for Java, one of the most popular and free IDEs there is Eclipse. And so you can go to this website up here. I'll also put the link in the description. But we're going to want to download Eclipse. Can be downloaded on any system, Mac OS, Windows, which is what I'm running, and also Linux distributions. It's you can download for. So we're going to click the download and then download button. Hit download again. Save. Give that just a second to download. And there's going to be a couple things we want to do to the to the IDE once we get it installed. There's a couple plugins that I recommend that I use. We'll go over those and how to set up the IDE once it's installed. But while we're waiting on that, I'll go over some of the reasons why would you learn Java as your first programming language, or why learn Java in general. So there's quite a few reasons, but first one being it's a very popular language. It's been one of the most popular languages for several years, a couple decades at this point. I mean, it's used for all sorts of applications: web development, mobile app development, server applications, really anything you want to make you can do with Java, as long as you learn the nuances of that type of development. Another thing is versatility. As mentioned before, because of versatility is one of the reasons that leads to its popularity, is that it can be ran on a lot of devices and it can be used to create a lot of different types of applications. Another reason you might want to learn Java is there's a strong job market for Java. A lot of businesses and enterprise businesses use Java for a lot of their backend services. Um, so my day-to-day job as a software engineer is using Java. 90% of the applications I work on are written in Java and have been in Java back before I was even working for the company I work for now, for multiple years. And we're still using Java. We plan to use Java in the future. And we're still constantly, every once in a while, hiring new engineers in Java. So strong job market, it's a very good choice to go with if you want to break into software engineering for the first time, learn one language and try to get a job. Java is not a bad way to go. Uh, the community and resources are very good with Java. Example being one, there's a Eclipse IDE, which is a free open source IDE that is very widely used and very popular and works very well. There's some other ones, some enterprise ones that you have to pay for, like IntelliJ, which is better. I use that in my professional job, but personally, on my personal computer, I don't have it because I don't want to pay for it because Eclipse works just fine. Um, Another reason is there's cross-platform compatibility, meaning Java programs can run anywhere on almost anything. If you can install the JVM, which is the Java Virtual Machine, which is this kind of interface between the operating system and a Java program, then you can run a Java application or a Java program as long as you can install that JVM. So Linux, ARM, soft architecture, mobile, Windows, Mac, all of those can run Java. I mean, if you can install JVM on a toaster, if you could, then you could run a Java program. Um, if you want to get into mobile app development, Java is used for Android apps, which has kind of been converted to, not converted to, but the more popular approach for Android is now Kotlin, which is also developed by IntelliJ, or the company JetBrains that own IntelliJ. But Kotlin is really an addition. It's an add-on language to Java. It still uses the Java virtual machine. So learning Java is still a very good skill to learn to do mobile app development, although it is geared towards specifically the Android side. And then the learning potential for Java is it's such a popular language that there are very many courses out there, free ones on YouTube. There's plenty of courses on Udemy, or if you are going to school for computer science, then a lot of colleges, their first language you're going to learn is Java, either Java or Python, but a lot of them are in Java. The college I went to for computer science, we learned Java. Um, so there are many, many reasons to learn Java as your first programming language, and those are just a few of them. So it's great for beginners and people who are new to programming in general, but it's also really good if you've been programming for a while, or maybe you work in some other IT field, you know a little bit of programming, and you want to just broaden your knowledge or potentially broaden your job opportunities. Java is a great way to do that. So now that we've gone through that, looks like our Eclipse installer is just about installed. And while we're waiting those last couple seconds, just kind of go over my background. I mentioned it here and there while going over the reasons to learn Java, but I am a software developer, full stack as my day job, and I went to the University of North Georgia and got my bachelor's in computer science. I graduated in the summer of 2021, and then I've been a software engineer for a little over 2 years now. So I have experience, and Java is 90% of my professional experience, and even in college learning has been with Java. And so we're just going to go through, and this is going to be a beginner's course. We're not going to get into anything too advanced. And just learning the basics. And then once we move on there, I may come out with some tutorial videos on just building specific types of applications using Java. And so those won't be going over as in detailed with the basics as much as this course will, but we'll be using what we learn in this in those other videos to come once this series is done. So look out for those after we finish this course. But it looks like the installer is done. We'll go to downloads. Oh, and it is running. Okay. So once the Eclipse installer pops up, there are a couple options. So Eclipse is not only used for Java. It can be used for C, C++, PHP, and other things as you can see here. Oh, I did not mean to click there. But what we want is actually not this first option. We want this second option. The first one is good. The second one does everything the first one does, plus some things. Some things we may not get into in this course because this is just a beginner Java course. But if you go ahead and click this option here, it'll set you up to be able to explore further things in the future without having to change your settings. So we click right here, Eclipse IDE for Enterprise Java and Web Developers. And this is where you will select your uh, JVM you want and where you want it to install. Now, default is 17. 21 is out now as well. But let's just go with 17. And then this is your installation folder. This can be wherever you want. I'm going to leave mine a default. I don't want a desktop shortcut, however, I do want to start menu entry. So we'll click install. And this shouldn't take very long at all. And then we'll go into, once we get this loaded, we'll go into the plugins that I have and that I recommend. There's, I think, three or four maybe. So it's not going to be much to finish setting up. Get rid of that. So I'm going to let this install and we'll be back when it's done. Okay, so that has finished installing, and once that's done, you just click launch. And this is where you will select a directory as a workspace. So this will be the folder where all your projects and everything will be saved. So you can change this to wherever you want. I'm going to leave it as is. You can also select this, use this as default, and do not ask again. If you select this, this means anytime you start Eclipse, it won't ask what workspace to use, and it'll directly go into this one. You can have multiple workspaces, which is just different folders it links to, and anything created in that workspace will be saved in that folder. So if you want to separate your projects out or your groups of projects out into different workspaces, don't check this, and then you'll just reselect it every time. But I'm just going to leave mine all in Eclipse workspace and just use this as default so it doesn't ask me again. So we can click launch. And full screen. So this is the welcome page for Java. There are a couple options here. One, I would recommend if you want is to go through these tutorials. So these are like some built-in tutorials in Eclipse on how to use Eclipse and Java programs. But it is not necessary, but if you have the time, something good to look into. We want to hide this. We don't really care for that right now. If we go up to the top here, there is the help button. Click on help and there will be this link called Eclipse Marketplace. This is where we're going to go for plugins and additions to the IDE. So one I want to look for is a theme. I don't like this glaring white light in my face, so if we go darkest dark theme, you see here darkest dark theme with dev style and install. And we'll add on icon designer. I don't think I'll need it or use it, but why not? Accept the terms, finish. Installing software. You have to authorize these authorities. So you can click select all, or you can select always trust all authorities. 'Cause these are pretty widely used plugins, so I'm not worried about it. Trust. And anytime you install a plugin, it will ask you to restart Eclipse so it can take effect. So we will restart. And now it comes up with the new dev style. So we'll go to next. We will click darkest dark theme. I don't know what that is, so I'll fix automatically. I did have Eclipse already installed on this computer, but I deleted it so I could reinstall it for you guys in this video and actually show you step by step what to click through. So now that we're here, we see the theme has changed, and then it will come up with a tweak option. So that way you can actually choose, because there are some different themes within inside of here. And so you can select them and see different ones. Let's see. I feel like maybe I want to go with something different. Normally I think I just keep it on this dark gray, but blue is not bad. The deep black is too much. Kind of like the purple. Let's go with the purple. And editors, it will change the syntax highlighting, and we'll go over what syntax means, but different parts of the syntax will be highlighted differently so that you can differentiate. I've used Obsidian before. I do like the Obsidian, but I also want something that will kind of look good on this purple. Eclipse Standard honestly doesn't look bad. Don't mind pastel either. Let's go healthy eyes. Then you can click continue. Changes have been applied. We'll just continue for now. Let's go back to help, back to Eclipse Marketplace. And let's install Sonar Lint. So what this is a linting tool for Eclipse. And linting means that it will look at your code, trust, and see if there are any code smells or errors or complexity that is unnecessary, and give you little warnings about it. And this is really good, especially if you're starting off, to help you not build bad habits in programming, meaning um, not nesting too many if statements or not using unnecessary keywords. And so as you code through your projects, it will highlight along the way, or you can do a manual scan, sonar scan, to check for any of these issues and go ahead and correct them and learn how to do it the recommended way from the get-go. That way you don't build these bad habits that you have to correct later on. And especially if you're learning a new language for the first time, this can really help you progress fast and stand out when it does come time for you to learn, not learn, sorry, to go into the job market and search for your first software engineering job. If you can be as conventional and efficient in your code as possible, that's going to increase your chances and make you a better programmer. So now we installed Sonar. We will go back to the marketplace and install this last plugin called Spring Tools. This one is not necessary, um, and it won't be necessary for this beginner course. But I do recommend going ahead and installing it because this Spring is a library for Java that helps you make helps you make web apps. And web apps and APIs are a very big part of most software engineering for most companies. Uh, and so go ahead and have that installed, and we will have some videos in the future going over how to use Spring and do web applications. Just know that it won't be applicable right now. But while we're here installing our plugins and having to restart multiple times, we want to do that first before we get into any programming. That way it's not stopping us in the meantime. So if you followed along, you should have a working Eclipse IDE, and it will have installed the Java Virtual Machine version 17. So you should be ready to rock and roll and create your first Java program, which we will do in the next part of this series. So as always, if you enjoyed, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or any issues, comment down below and I will reply to you as quickly as I can, and we'll make sure that you can get Eclipse working on your machine so you can follow along with this tutorial. Thank you very much. Catch the next episode.